before the players even get their work in. That's Mike Reese. He's out there. Look at him. He's got the ball security, right, Mike T? He's got the carrying the fortunes of the franchise in his hand.
What would you expect from a football factory like UMass? I mean, you would see like Mike Reese with all the good fundamentals.
Mike Reese, what are we doing here? You just get your steps in before the program begins?
Well, let's just start by saying I'm glad I wasn't mic'd up because I'm scared of what you would have heard with the huffing and puffing of me coming back with the football. But hey, ESPN is here. It's Patriots-Eagles joint practices. We need a football on the set, so I was hustling to get it back.
He was getting a ball for Sal. Sal can't do a live shot without a prop. No question. We couldn't find it. We couldn't get a copy of the Boston Globe or the Foxborough Gazette or whatever the paper there is. So master. We needed a football for him to work with. Hawk, how about the form? What do you think of the running form, that style from Mike Reese there?
Like I said, as another diminutive receiver, I like what Mike Reese is putting on display here. Quick strides, powerful strides, not covering a bunch of ground, but still effective. I obviously know a lot about that, Mike. I appreciate what you did there.
Keeping the eyes down, not looking at the rush. He's ready to go.
Great ball security.
Mike Reese ready.
He only got one hand on the ball. I don't know if that was great, Mike. Yeah, we had the clipboard and notebook in the other hand. There's no question that Patrick was ready to be the quarterback when he was a rookie. And Kansas City had to sit on their hands. They knew what they had in the first minicamp. But the fact of the matter is this, though. Like Alex Smith was playing great. He had a career year that year. If Kirk Cousins is playing good and the team is winning, then they have the luxury then of sitting and waiting and allowing him to kind of continue to develop. I think all this is going to be contingent upon how the team is doing and how Kirk is playing. If the team is struggling and Kirk isn't playing well, you're going to see him faster. If the team's playing good, Kirk's playing well, he's not turning the football over, they're being efficient, then they have the luxury of time. I think that's totally how this is going to go. Obviously, look, I think Clint Kubiak has said it perfectly. He's an ascending, improving player that is doing exactly what they want. He is right now meeting expectations. I think this is all about Kirk, the offense, the team overall.
And Michael, you got it right. This is the main event of the joint practices. Philadelphia Eagles visiting Foxborough, reuniting with A.J. Brown and the New England Patriots. And what I'm hearing from the Philadelphia Eagles is, let's focus on us. We have enough going on. When I was with the Eagles, when they opened training camp in South Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni told me about his first meeting with the team. He took out a book, and the title of that book was Chop Wood, Carry Water. And he wanted his team to align themselves with each other after all of the emotions of last year. Don't worry about all of that stuff. And Jalen Hurts this week, Michael, said it's about competition against a very good football team. And they will be competing hard against A.J. Brown. All eyes will be on number 27 out of the University of Toledo, Quinyon Mitchell, first team All-Pro. He does a lot of talking on the field, as we know from a guy on that set. Those guys from Toledo, they're quiet off the field, but when they get on the field, they like to trash talk. They like to get after it, and they like to get after each other. So you will see Quinyon Mitchell one-on-one with A.J. Brown today on the practice field, Michael.
Well, look, Greeny, going into this year, there's no debate. The Big Ten is the best conference in college football. That's reflected. The three teams receiving the most votes for the first place in the AP are from the Big Ten, rightfully so. I believe the first time that the top two preseason teams from the Big Ten are the top two teams in 65 years. So there's no question that the Big Ten's on top. But if you're asking me, is the Big Ten going to win another national championship? I think the answer to that is no. I do not have the Big Ten winning a national title, albeit all three at the top clearly can win one. And I think Paul is accurate. There is several teams this year that can win a national championship. But I'm all in on the Irish this season. I think this is Notre Dame's year. Last year, they were just left out. Marcus Freeman's mantra this year, leave no doubt. I love the line of scrimmage. This is an elite defense, and I think C.J. Carr is a star. So the Big Ten's going to be right there in the mix all year, and yes, they're capable. But if you're asking me, does the streak continue? No, Greeny, I don't think it does. I think it's the Irish that are the national champs.
A 2-month hamstring injury is pretty concerning, especially given the history that he's had. The really bad part, I think, is they were starting to build something down there. And of course, it's not all built on him, but we've come to see that you really need multiple weapons, especially for a young quarterback. A lot of answers will be helpful. They have Olave on the other side who had the concussion issues, and now Jordan Tyson is out. It really sucks for Shutt, and I think for Kellen Moore. And what they're building, we're getting excited about what they're doing in New Orleans, which doesn't mean it's over. They still have the O-line and good players on defense, but it really hurts to see their top receiver.
Okay, so I've been asking this question since last week, and I keep getting the same answer from a source close to ownership. The Dodgers are not for sale. Now, if somebody unsolicited makes Mark Walter a big offer, just like Josh Kushner and Bob Iger did, it sounds like they could make that offer and then he'll decide the same way he did with the Lakers. But right now, the Dodgers are not for sale, and everything else should just be regarded as assets. Now, we've all been reading the headlines, okay? The Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, this has all been in play because of the Department of Justice investigation into Mark Walter and the Guggenheim partners. There is some sense that liquidity is valuable here, with liquidity meaning liquidating your assets. The Lakers are a very big asset. Obviously, that's a huge valuation. We did the math, and he bought at a $10 billion valuation, sold for 12.5, and we do this math and we go, oh, that's a $2.5 billion profit. Actually, it's more than that, Greeny, because remember, he bought the first 26% of his shares in the Lakers at a $5 billion valuation. And so his profit on that will be closer to $4 billion. Okay, so that was a giant return. It's a giant for owning a team less than 10 months. And I think the Dodgers should be regarded in that same vein. It's going to take a massive, what number are we even talking about? Is it 11 billion, 12 billion, 15? At this point, it would take something like that, I think, to even talk about a sale of the Dodgers.
So interesting about the way this whole Shedeur Sanders thing is going. Heather just made an interesting point. I'm going to sort of tie it to this about when a team is where they are in the AP preseason ranking, gives you sort of a preconceived notion about them, even if it has nothing to do with them. Shedeur Sanders getting drafted where he got drafted gives you a preconceived notion, even though it has nothing to do with what's going on right now. They're not developing him like they're trying to make him the starter, like he's their guy going forward. And that puts him, to your point, he's not getting all the work. He's not getting all the reps. He's going to look like a young player because he's not being treated like a guy they're trying to develop. Which is a team that you think you could see falling out of this thing completely?
Oklahoma. And they have an elite defense under Brent Venables, but I absolutely hate their schedule, Greeny. They have John Mateer back. He was banged up last year, and they went into a bit of a tailspin, even though they made the playoffs, although they lost at home, giving up a 17-point lead to Alabama. But I think they could run into a buzzsaw, especially early on, second week of the season at Michigan. They go to Georgia a couple weeks later. They have to deal with Texas, which they have been almost unable to beat, and that the second half isn't a whole lot better with Ole Miss, A&M, and at Missouri to round it out.
Yeah, Heather, I'm looking at up there. That is a murderer's row.
Well, when you say the Buss family decided to sell, we're really talking about 5 of the 6 Buss siblings, and they believe they have the right to do this because of what's called a tag-along provision in the original sale to Mark Walter, which is if Mark Walter ever decided to sell his shares, they had the option to tag along to the sale that he makes at the same valuation. Jeannie's point here is that they can't do anything without her, and she did not even vote in the family vote that took place on Monday morning. She just abstained, and her lawyers have pointed to a 2017 court ruling, a court order in the previous case that she had against her older brothers that said the trust can't do anything without her say-so, because this trust, which is what owns the shares of the Lakers, it's not held individually like each of the 6 siblings owns 3%. The family trust owns all 18% of the Lakers shares.
So what does this mean now? What happens next? Where does it go from here?
Well, let's point this out. Jeannie's lawyer sent a letter to the other 5 siblings' lawyers. Nothing has been filed in court yet. He's just reminding them, this is the court order. You can't do what you think you've done, okay? But I've covered a lot of these things before. Nothing really happens until you actually go to court. So now what we're doing is waiting for the response from the other 5 siblings. Will they respond in court or they respond to Jeannie's lawyer? Either way, there's going to be a lot of billable hours on both sides, but it sounds like we're heading for some sort of fight here.